Well, grab a seat, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
It is time for Flip and Friends. I am your host, Kenneth Davis. Follow me at That's Davis on all social media platforms. Of course, you know the executive producer of the show, Ryan Bukovetsky. Follow him at Ryan B. Ski and Ryan B. Ski 1. And you can also find Sydney Brown on Second City Sports. And also follow him at Sid Kid 80, and he writes for We Are Regal Radio. So make sure you go out and check out those articles. So you know what? We usually start off with a little bit of COVID. I mean, it's been the way we've been doing in this pandemic since March, basically. It's been a big part of this discussion in this show, and probably a big part of this show for like another year at least. And even after there is a vaccine, it'll probably still be a big part of it.
Oh, no.
It's just the facts. It's just the facts. Because there's going to be arguments about taking the vaccine.
Fake news. Alternate facts.
The vaccine. All right. Illinois' COVID case count jumps and worries of health experts. And the real reason that I picked this is it's funny, and we were watching the news the other day, and I think it's jumped to like 5 point something as far as the amount of people getting infected. Like it's just really leaped up. But the thing is, this week, article in the Tribune came out about sending back kids, the CPS, Chicago Public Schools, sending back kids that are in pre-K and also kids that are special needs. And the problem is you're talking about 3 or 4-year-olds basically, who is going to be hard for them not to keep their masks on, right? They already are germy as hell and do nasty stuff, right? Like just their nose, like they runny nasty ass noses. They touch everything. I have a 4-year-old, so I'm not just dissing them. And she's not that type of still. She's a little kid.
Don't be offended, 4-year-olds. Ken's not really coming for you.
Not coming for you 4-year-olds. So they were thinking about Kelsey, and also there's going to be full day. So you're also talking about keeping them in there all day long. They're not going to socially distance from one another. So they don't listen all the time. And I hate to say this, you can compare that slightly to some kids with special needs, even though them being older, it's probably easy to get through. But still, you're acting like these kids can't become super spreaders to a certain degree. And even, I believe, I forget the lady in Illinois that's in charge of the medical. I forget the young lady's name. She was the person that stood out with Lori Lightfoot when they had on the costumes like a week or two ago. And it was like one was bleach and the other one was sanitized. Whatever, you get the joke that I'm trying to say. But she was talking about that, you know, she's a physician and that she wouldn't be sending these kids back if it was really a threat. And I just call bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And I actually talked to the teachers in Kelsey's class yesterday. And one of them was like, he doubts that they'll really send them back. And her other teacher was like, probably the same parents that said they didn't feel comfortable sending their kids to school when they sent out the survey are going to be the same parents that say the same thing. But it was funny because they're talking about sending these kids back in the second quarter. So basically, like at the end of this month, like these kids will be getting ready to go back to school. Well, start school because they haven't been in school outside of remote learning. And then it's just one of those things. Even though, I would love for her to be in a regular learning environment. You know what I'm saying? Like it would be great. But the risk of her getting sick, her bringing it to us, because, you don't have where too many kids are getting deathly sick, even though we have seen it. So there's a chance, but it's a lot rarer. But still just her bringing it home to us. Listen, her passing on to some kid, and then that kid has an older grandparent or something that's watching them regularly, and that person getting sick and having perhaps, just being in a bad situation, to say the least. But again, I would love it, but it's just not time right now. And I'll say this too. It has been rewarding at times helping her and teaching her. And I wonder if she would make the leaps that she seems to make if Afton and I weren't right there. Because, you can kind of she can shut herself down if it's a teacher. You know what I'm saying? Like just, she can shut down, but you can't shut down when it's mommy and daddy. Right? So you better get it together, kiddo. Right? Get it together real. So it's just one of those things that popped out to me just thinking about COVID. So what were your thoughts and what would you guys do if you were in the same situation? I'll start with you, Ryan.
Yeah, I'd have to really weigh those benefits of, you said, a learning environment versus potentially opening up even to more risk of contracting COVID, and that's not going to do anything for anybody. And it's going to be interesting, too, with winter. I mean, you're talking about the flu's going to be coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder with these, rising cases, do you start thinking about shutting down the economy? And then just the fact that, like, restaurants, if they don't have outdoor seating, they're going to be crippled big time.
Right.
And a lot of places are going to have to, I guess, kind of get creative or really establish a good, like, pickup system or delivery system if they haven't already. So it's just like, I feel like a lot of things are going to just inevitably be shut down, partly because it's already difficult dealing with COVID, and then the other part, especially when it's rising, and then the other part being winter. And like, do you want kids riding on a bus? Like, how are kids going to get to places?
Great point.
If they got to go to school, like, how are kids, if you don't want to go to a doctor or something like that where you can expose a kid even more, well, the safest place to be would be in your home then. Versus if you go out to school, usually you probably know better than me, Ken. Like, how many times do you have to take Kelsey to the doctor just because she's at school and just picking up regular stuff?
You said school buses. Anytime they go on a field trip, the first thing we do is they got to take a bath or a shower. Usually, like the last 2 times Kelsey went on the trip, because I usually don't bathe Kelsey after does it. But when she goes on, when I shop her on the field trip, when we get home, the first thing I do is put her ass in that tub, because that's where they pick up crazy germs from things about those school buses, but not let alone wherever they go on the trip. It's a bunch of kids there. You know what I'm saying? It's a germ heaven. Basically. Also, one of the things before you jump in, Sid, I also want to say, one of the teachers did point out too, because think about it, I got 2 kids, 2 school-aged kids, that what about when one kid's at home and then the other's at school, you're not really alleviating stress from parents when all the kids aren't at school. You know what I'm saying? Only and special needs kids. So one, I got to worry about this kid is at home. And also look about if I was a single parent, or even if Afton was back in a situation where she had to be in the office, or what if I had to be in the office, and that's all on one person I would have to basically tell Ken, McKinnon's old enough that I can leave him at home. But let's just say if I didn't feel comfortable, I would have to tell him, like, you're late for class, for school, because he starts at 9, but I would have to drop her off at like 9 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? So how are you alleviating?
What if he was just kindergarten, so he wouldn't be pre-K, and he needs you as much as anybody?
It'd really be messed up. And luckily with her, and we wouldn't have gotten this, Kelsey technically doesn't start school. Like, she's supposed to do asynchronous learning, which is basically learning her own in the morning time, which Afton does sit there with her while she's working, and they go through IXL and stuff like that. But she doesn't start till noon. And then she goes from noon to 2:30, basically, right? So it would be that makes it easier. But the only reason we got that option is she didn't transfer as cleanly as she was supposed to. Like, her old school didn't release her, so she kind of came in late, even though she had been accepted to her new school. She came in late, so we got to pick which class we got, and we decided to go with that afternoon class. But we probably wouldn't have lucked into having that afternoon class. But Sydney, if you were in that situation, how would you maintain?
If I was a parent, I wouldn't send my kid back. I know the same story that you're talking about. I heard that the proposed date was November 9th. I find it ironic to believe a week after the election. I know we'll get on the election later, but what's the contingency plan for the children that just say they did go back? Yes, they'll have to put on that mask, but we kind of talked about this before, guys, that like you said, kids pass germs like they're going out of style. We already know that teachers have a lot to deal with, not to get too far on the deep end, but the teacher is teaching their lesson in every 5 seconds or every 5 minutes. Oh, so-and-so, leave your mask alone. Stop touching your face. Stop touching this. Stop touching that. Will you have, quote-unquote, special assistants there to make sure that the kids have on their mask? Well, I'm assuming they'll have obviously they'll have the services scrubbed down and wiped down, but what else creatively could you do? Will they have to, before even it gets to that point, will they have a quote-unquote vaccine? Will they have to take a special test before those kids enter back into those facilities? We don't know.
True.
I think Cindy just doesn't want a bunch of kids that he's got to watch over.
Oh, you know that's
afraid. He's afraid the schools get shut down. All these women are going to be dropping off babies for him to watch. We got to get our kids back in school.
It's possible. I'm trying to get some. So one of the things that jumped out to me while we're sitting here talking about CPS is a horrific story that I found out through Facebook with a friend of mine. She had posted it, but the details, I saw it in the Tribune yesterday. It's out today too. An 18-year-old who was identified as a person who forced a 7-year-old girl to perform a sexual act in an online forum used for remote teaching during the COVID pandemic, Chicago police said. Cartrell Walls, get his name, Cartrell Walls, because if you see him, fuck his ass up, of West Chesterfield neighborhood of the South Side, was arrested Thursday afternoon shortly after 3:30 p.m. after he was seen molesting a girl in an online forum used for remote learning, police said. Walls is charged with predatory criminal assault on a victim underage. The police were made aware of the attack when the girl's teacher saw it on a computer screen during the classroom e-learning session. Police said when the officers got there, the girl identified her attacker and he was arrested. So think about this bastard, this sick fucking bastard, is sitting there molesting a girl anyway, but it actually is doing it on fucking the classroom Zoom too. Which is like just, and the thing is, in this article, it goes on to say that reports on child molestation is going down because there's fewer people to watch because these kids are at home. So, I mean, again, as we're sitting here saying like, you know, yeah, this it's like, for instance, in my house is school, you know what I'm saying? Like, we often don't fight like that, you know what I'm saying? Let's say that everything's always peachy keen, but we don't really get into we don't get into it. Let me put it like that. Like, we don't get into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not like, fuck you and you fucking, like, we don't do that type of shit, right?
Yeah, you save that for me.
You know, our kids don't have to be in that necessarily environment. It's not a toxic environment. So they're lucky, but there's a lot of kids that aren't in the same situation. There's also that kids that, you know, have a good parent or so, but that parent may have to work and may have to depend on somebody else to watch their kids. I know, like, during like Kelsey's class, one of the little girls, she's at like a daycare, and the lady who I guess runs the daycare, she spends the majority of the time where class is going on the phone. So when the little girl has to unmute herself, you hear this lady talking on the phone, and it's like, first of all, some of those conversations shouldn't be in this Zoom classroom, right? And then it's like, why don't you stop? You know the little girl's trying to learn. Why don't you stop and get your ass off the phone? Right? Now, listen, and we talk about like, damn, I feel sorry for the little girl because it's like she's not really getting the learning. Like, even because they have to dip in and out of different Zoom forums, all right? Or if they're in Google, if the CPS uses Google, they use Google Meet. So they have to go to another class. So the little girl with the third class they take, you can tell since she's the person that's really controlling the computer and there's no one there sitting next to him, because you got to sit next to him and help him out a little bit, even though the teachers don't want you to cheat, but help him out. And the little girl has to unmute herself, and she's never really in the third classroom because she would have to go and click the buttons to get herself up in there. And it's just like she's not getting the access to that learning that she necessarily needs. And it's also the shady side. Like I said, it works for me, but it's hard on a lot of other people, and I feel sorry for them being in that situation. Like we talk about the little girl, like we wish that we could try to help her or something like that. And I hope that I hope nobody sees this that is related to that classroom. But yeah, it's
that bastard Davis.
How dare you
worry about your own damn phone conversations?
Right? I can be on the phone talking about ass if I want to. Like, you just hear. I think I heard her say ass one time, something about ass. I heard the lady being talking, and you could tell she was on three-way. She was like, "Nah, I'm just gonna step up out of this. I ain't got nothing to do with that." And it's just like, dude.
Oh, a fresh podcast from that nice young man, Ken Davis. I'd love to hear what he'd have to say.
Hey, control your shit.
That mother.
Control your. Listen, you better make sure you're on mute. Listen, that'd be the thing. Like, we'd be like, "Is she muted?" Because we may say some spicy shit. Is she muted? Right? Like, the first thing you do when you ask your kids, when you go, like, I walk to kids' room, I'm like, is that on mute? Right? Like, you don't want to say it. I believe, like, the teacher muted Afton. Like, Afton went into a rant like a week and a half ago. And we had a parent-teacher meeting the same week. And Afton asked her, she was like, "Did you hear me when I was doing that?" And she was like, "Yeah, I heard I muted you. Don't worry about it," or whatever, right? And it's like, you don't want to get too spicy because they're mandatory reporters. Like, so they're telling his daughter, she better get her shit together, right? So this is one of those. Go ahead.
It's been funny hearing those stories. Like I think I've heard the parents drinking like on camera, like right when school starts.
Ooh, that's early.
Yeah.
I've hopped off and had a hard seltzer. Like one day, this was like a month and a half ago. And I was talking to one of my buddies from work, like he doesn't work with me anymore, but we'll do a Zoom meeting like once a month or whatever. There was this day. And I told him, I was like, dude, I'm day drinking. And he was like, what? I said, I had a hard seltzer already. I said, my class was something today, right? Like it was like, oh, it's gotten better. It's definitely gotten better. But yeah, or did you see the one, I think it's on the thread, we made a post on our text thread where like the grandma was in the background naked, like the little kid. Oh,
yeah.
The kid is watching like this. And you see the little kid turn, and look, because the little kid knows this ain't right. He's like, turn, and he kind of look back like this. And background. And she walking around, and she is just butt naked.
That little kid was traumatized.
I think I even heard some sexual activity accidentally caught on there. Not between kid and parent, like you mentioned, but like parent and parent, actually.
Wait.
Get off my mama!
Wait. How y'all fucking like that when a little kid can hear you like that anyway? Zoom meeting.
I think potentially the kid brought the Zoom meeting to them.
See, rule number one is do not pick that damn computer. Listen, don't turn that computer, because Kelsey wants to switch the computer around and shit. And it's like, you don't show everybody at your house. And like the teacher told this little boy in her class, she said, your mama gonna get on you showing us all your house. over there. She was like, and Kelsey wants to switch the screen and show like her Barbie dream.
Yeah. Here's all the whips and chains, saddles over there.
Don't you turn this?
Give me outfits.
Don't you turn this monitor?
Is, mommy and daddy swing, very special swing.
These mugs like, oh, the kid's in the Zoom meeting. It's time to get on, right? Oh, he distracted. Let's do it. Oh,
that's our shelf of oils and massage therapy.
The sexual swing,
the lotions that are used by mommy and daddy.
Oh man. All right. So, former New Jersey governor, recent Trump shield, Christie, now admits that he was wrong not to wear a mask during the debate prep session with the purported POTUS at the event centered on Amy Coney Barrett. This is from Yahoo. I believe when I entered the White House grounds that I had entered a safe zone due to the testing that I and many others underwent every day. Christie said in a statement, first reported by the New York Times on Thursday. I was wrong. I was wrong not to wear a mask in the Amy Cooper Barrett's announcement. I was wrong not to wear a mask in multiple debate prep sessions with the president and the rest of the team, Christie added. That he now hopes that his experience, which includes spending 7 days in intensive care unit, shows others the importance of strictly following the CDC guidelines, no matter who you are or where you are, the virus said. And she said you should take it very seriously. The ramifications are widely random and potentially deadly. Christie, who previously expressed support for sacrificing lives during the pandemic by comparing the current event to the First and Second World Wars. Okay,
I forgot.
Because like Hitler,
I forgot about that.
Germany, like, oh man, it's kind of like fighting Germany and did Super Germany.
Boy, who's known as like the flip-flopper in politics? Like, my goodness, Christie has to be the new king. Let's have people die like soldiers. You know what? Masks are pretty good.
I was wrong. Listen, getting to death's door about this close to death's door made me see this a whole different mother.
Oh my goodness. We can lose a couple mil. What are you talking about? You know what? Masks.
Right. And listen, he's talking about well, mines are gone, but he's talking about y'all grandmas and grandpas, y'all nanas and papoose. He talking about all pops. He talking about all them.
He probably reviewed the polling numbers and decided masks are actually pretty good.
Time for re-election.
Those are the only people voting for us? Masks, damn it, live.
You know what, though? It's really sad. Like someone who, and I mean, we don't listen to Christie, but there's still some people who either from New Jersey or around the country who still, because let's not forget, there was at one point that he looked like a candidate to run for president about 8 years ago. You know, people was...
Yeah, he was in that primary with Trump.
People were worried about Christie for a minute because it was like, okay, Shawty may be able to do something or whatever. And for him to be as ignorant to say that, you know what, I ain't really take this shit serious till it hit me. And these are the people that we elect and we expect for them to purport their ways in a wise manner. And they just out here flying loosey-goosey. And listen, we know it because we use common sense. One thing I will say, and I thought about this the other day, I enjoy living in the blue state. Or let me say particularly Illinois, Chicago, and Northern Illinois. Because we might not get along, and not to say that there's still not racism, but we use a lot of fucking common sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot more just real common fucking sense. And not to say it's not still some yahoos on both sides of the fence, but still there's certain things that it's kind of like, yeah, that shit doesn't make fucking sense, right? And you can have certain degrees of how you think things should be strict, and I'm sure sometimes it has to deal with how it affects you in your life. Because listen, if I was a business owner, as far as if I had a restaurant, shit, I'm gonna want them to open that motherfucker up, right? That's just the truth. I mean, and it would be bad on me to want that, but I mean, I'm basically about to go out of business. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. I get how it depends on what's going on with you and how it affects your wallet. But usually still there's common fucking sense. But you got fucking Trump in Wisconsin today at a super rally, right? Full of fucking Rona, right? And like, shit, that motherfucker has the equivalent of the motherfucking, the Prince of Persia as far as the type of medical staff. Like this dude has the probably, second, third best care medically in the world as far as at his disposal.
Oh, yeah, he's arguably number one.
Yeah, I would say you could arguably say that, but I'm sure there's some, like, some places that have universal health care, like Norway, they probably do some good shit too. I don't know, I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
You know, some place may be smarter than us, since.
But he pretty much, he points the finger wherever he wants to go and instant access, unlimited care.
Right. And people confuse that with what the fuck you got with your HMO or Blue Cross Blue Shield. Like, you don't get the same shit. You know what I'm saying? Where, if you're depending on who you are, it'll be a day where they be like, Papa got to come off that ventilator because we need that motherfucker. He's not improving.
Yeah. Instead of the HMO, can I get the POTUS?
Right. Right. Can I get some of that? So, that's just, I don't know. It's just real messed up when you see somebody like Christie playing it like that, and it took him almost fucking getting out of there because you hit that intensive care. That's some real shit. It took you going into intensive care to be like, I was totally wrong and I shouldn't have been doing that shit. Like, get the fuck out of here.
I was wondering about it a little bit. I could see him saying this. I'm surprised he didn't say it till after the election, being so pro-Trump. Like, I feel like that kind of hurts Trump a little bit with anybody that, nothing huge.
They don't care, Ryan. They don't care.
But I mean, why say it? Why would you say that?
He had his come to Christ moment. Shorty was like, I seen.
Yeah, but who cares if you have come to Christ? This is Christie. He already sold it to the devil to be on the side that he's on. What are you talking about?
I'm telling you what I believe. Now, I could definitely be wrong, but I think his big ass never thought he was going to hit the fan like that. And when he did, if you intensive care, listen, and Trump didn't offer him none of that experimental cocktail that he got his hands on, he's like, I can get a little bit.
I got another Christie. He's much better. He's a much better man.
So, dude, Shorty, he's not feeling it. He's clearly Ryan. He's not feeling it, to say the least. All right. Moving on and sticking with COVID, Christina Cuomo has no regrets about taking the headline-making bleach bath. In fact, it was quite soothing. Christina and her husband, Chris Cuomo, were some of the most prominent faces to come forward in the COVID-19 diagnosis at the beginning of the pandemic. While the CNN anchor kept various updates on Cuomo Primetime, Christina documented her experience on The Purist, the wellness publication she launched in 2017. The writer details home remedies she was using to combat the virus, like vitamins, drinking, and a liver cleansing potion, and a type of homeopathic bath. But Christie's post about the watered and diluted sodium hypochlorite bath, aka bleach bath, just happened to be published the same week as President Trump suggested a disinfectant injection will kill the virus in 1 minute. The media was like, oh, this beach bath, this is going to be gangbusters, Cuomo's wife is recommending. Christine recalled to Elle, the writer, noted that she was aghast. A, it's mostly politically motivated journalist. Christine A continued, and B, it's all clickbait. The Purist shares a lot of similarities to Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop and invites similar criticisms too. Christine's posts are accompanied by disclaimers warning readers to consult a doctor or a neuropath for her advice. But she said it's ironic people were upset over the bath. So yeah,
I like
she said
that.
she didn't put.
It was great. It was refreshing, but make sure you talk to a doctor before you do
that. She said she didn't put her shoulders, neck, or head below in the bath. Yeah, she said her skin was a little flustered too after taking.
But the vagina was in there.
Flush. I wasn't even thinking about her vagina.
Hey, that's an entry.
I wasn't even.
What are you worried about shoulders and above if you got the vagina in there?
Well, I guess, people bleach their backside, so maybe she was getting some of that action done, too, at the same time. She was getting the whole, I don't even want to go there.
A triple bleach.
It's your filthiness. It's just filth on filth on.
Well, come on. I'm sure you can't bleach the vagina. I've never heard of that one before.
Another failed attempt.
No, come on.
You bleach assholes.
You can bleach the asshole.
All right.
I don't think you can bleach the vagina, though.
I don't know. That's a good question. We should somebody.
Sydney, you're the expert.
Don't talk to me about that one. No. No.
All right. Former Los Angeles Angels employee Eric Kay was indicted by a federal grand jury Friday in the death of former Angels pitcher Tyler Skaggs. A Texas grand jury indicted Kay on 2 accounts. Kay charged with giving Skaggs the fentanyl that resulted in his death in 2019. Skaggs, 27, died July 2019. The local medical examiner office determined he choked on his own vomit, terrible, with a toxic mixture of alcohol and opioids, including fentanyl, in his system. Kay and Skaggs allegedly texted about the pills on the night Skaggs overdosed. The indictment also stated that Kay possessed and intended to distribute fentanyl beginning in or before 2017, according to ESPN. The Angels denied any knowledge of Kay distributing opioids to players and claimed that they were unaware Skaggs was using opioids. Kay, who spent 24 years in the Angels media relations department, was arrested by authorities in August. In October, Kay said he is fully cooperated with law enforcement, calling it the right thing to do. Kay faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted. That's messed up.
How did they figure out that part? I'm sure they just
that text message is how they figured.
No. I'm saying Skaggs and Kay. Media relations probably just talk to the player, hey, would you do an interview, or here's whatever, blah, blah, blah. When did fentanyl go a part of their back and forth?
You know what happened? Somebody else who was using that shit told probably Skaggs that that's where you can get it from. Or maybe they had a conversation. Listen, he's a dealer, though. So as a dealer, and he kind of gets what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? You have these people where, he's doing the media relations, but on the side, he's peddling these drugs, and these players are hurting, let alone he's a pitcher. So you're sitting there, that every 5th day he's trying to get ready or whatever. I can't even remember if Skaggs was a starter or a reliever. But still, he's taking advantage of the fact that perhaps he's using this for pain, or perhaps he was initially using it for pain and then he became addicted to it. You know what I'm saying? But that's terrible, man. And I mean, he sold that shit to some more folks. If he was selling that shit since 2017, man, he better listen. Y'all better keep that motherfucker away from Shohei Ohtani and motherfucking Mike Trout. Full of that fentanyl.
For real. That's crazy too with the fentanyl. Why? I guess you just fall into addiction or something, but man, that one is so scary.
Mm-hmm.
That's just so easy to mess it up in terms of quantity and overdosing that I'm amazed he was going down that road.
Right.
I get painkiller for athlete. That's not surprising. But fentanyl, what would make you go down that road? You're in that much? You are that deep?
Hey, you see it called Prince. You know what I'm saying? You had the white goo guy, Michael Jackson. These people, man, they've been out here playing athletically or performing, wearing their body down, and then they get a taste of that good shit, and then they don't want to motherfucking let go, especially if it helps them to cope and get back into performing the way that they think they need to perform. But I'm with you. I mean, I don't even know how it was administered, so I don't know if he was taking that using an intravenous.
I think they said pill.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It did say pills. You're correct. It was correct. So at least he wasn't shooting up. But man, fuck, dude. Listen. Again, this is me being square. To think you got to get that high, you know what I'm saying? He was already drinking.
Right.
And Shorty was like, look, I'm going to put that extra on it. Puts that extra on it. Like, he put.
And fentanyl's the tippy
dude.
top. You don't
shit.
go higher.
No, that's the shit that make them heroin addicts come back quick.
Oh my!
Mix that heroin with that fentanyl.
Stronger than heroin. Like you have a better chance of surviving if you did heroin versus fentanyl.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes, you do. Yes.
But remember, pain addiction pills almost got Brett Favre before they won his first Super Bowl back in '96. He had pain addiction problems too. Also added to his drinking problems at the time.
True.
I thought it was
very
showing
scary.
the wiener.
Well, that was later in his career.
Oh,
I got to show you this wiener before I die.
It was. Listen, it wasn't Hall of Fame worthy. That was not. Listen.
Well, to be fair, he didn't think it was going to be spread around.
Listen, that's even worse. You sit that to one person. If you don't get your wiener clicking game together, Brett Favre, that lets you know how old he was too.
Right, laying on the bed watching like Fox News. Hey, look at this thing.
And didn't like he have his wristwatch in it so it was scaled to size or whatever? Like I feel like he had his wristwatch in the photo.
I can't remember exactly. I didn't study this extensively.
Oh, you brought the shit up. While playing for the New York Jets, playing for the Jets, Brett Favre was hitting on a young lady, I believe it was in
harassing
the media. Yes, you're right. Yes. You're right. You're correct. Harassing. And decided to send her some pictures of his junk.
Yeah.
And it was unimpressive to say the least. Yes.
Let me show you old number 4.
Oh shit.
That was a good one.
That was. All right. Sticking with sports, we got something. The Athletics reporting according to Jovan Buha and Joe Vardon. Some players on the team, and this is the Clippers, bristled at what can be viewed as a preferential treatment given to star free agent signing Kawhi Leonard. I hope it's just not Kawhi. I hope y'all was bristling at PG playoff Pete too. Players like Patrick Beverley, Montrezl Harrell, and Lou Williams, Clippers bedrocks before the arrival of Leonard and George, bristled when Leonard was permitted to take games off to manage his body and to live in San Diego, which often led to him being late for team flights. League sources said the team allowed Leonard to dictate to Doc Rivers when he could be pulled from games, and among other things, Lou was on Rivers' bench, talking about Tyronn Lue, but the Clippers were Rivers' show. So according to this, Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, and Patrick Beverley was upset with the stars getting preferential treatment, which that's what stars get. I don't care if y'all was there the season before or not. And y'all wanted to win the championship. So y'all going to let this block y'all. They didn't show up. Like, think about how late those 3 players, how late they showed up to the bubble, right? Like, just the dysfunction. All 3 of them were late to the bubble. Beverly at least was hurt. And I know sometimes they had, like, personal stuff with their families and stuff like that. But just the way that the Clippers showed up to the damn bubble. And I put some of that on Doc, too, because they didn't have a leader on that team. But still, like, for those 3 players to basically opine to get better players so they can try to go out and win a title and then get upset because you think you're going to be on the same level as all-star players like that, the last year's finals MVP, you lying to yourself, man. And them lemon pepper wings is fucking with your brain if you thought that that's what you was going to get. Like, so, listen, I understand. Even if you don't like it, get your ass in gear. All right? That's the big thing. Get your ass in gear. Get into the damn bubble, and let's go win this title. Like, you guys made the West Finals anticlimactic with your bullshit, right? Like, you got Doc Rivers fired, right? You got motherfuckers going to strip clubs. You got Patrick Beverley snapping on Michelle Roberts. Chuddy's like, I'm out of here. This is her last year running the NBA PA. So I ain't for this shit. Motherfucker disrespecting me. You know how many businesses I can run? I ain't got to listen to no motherfucking Patrick. Right? And Montrezl Harrell, King True Religion, who didn't show up, right? Like, I still say if I was Steve Ballmer, I would have threw Montrezl Harrell's chains and True Religion out on the tarmac. I will continue to say that. Get your shit. Get out. For these 3 motherfuckers. Only person that showed up was Kawhi Leonard, and he was broke the last game. I won't say that he choked. He was just broke because he was laboring up and down the court. He didn't have it. He's the only one of them MFs that showed up on that damn team. The rest of them motherfuckers was poo butts. I mean, Lou Williams had some games here, and Patrick Beverly was hurt, so I'll give him that pass. But, man, please, man, get the fuck out of here with this bullshit. Like, what the fuck? No. I mean, do you know what the fuck Western Finals look like? And listen, shout out to Denver and everything they did. But, man, we were supposed to get the Battle of L.A. to see who's truly at the top. And it was just, you just basically just ushered LeBron straight through, right? Like, come on, man. So I ain't got nothing else to say about this bullshit. Sid, what do you have to say?
Here's the thing. I don't care what sports you're talking about, star players will always get special treatment because of their talent and their clout. That's just the way it is, whether we like it or not. Going to Kawhi Leonard, that was the main point of discussion when he was discussing about joining the Clippers before they tried to trade for Paul George, which they succeeded in. He told the management and Doc Rivers before the season started, well, I'm going to take these certain amount of games off. That was a discussion when they were in trade discussions. So if people are surprised by that, you're crazy. It just wasn't – the news just wasn't out at the time. Remember the second week of the season? I believe it was a Wednesday night game against Utah on ESPN. Oh, Kawhi Leonard is not there. Why? Oh, yeah, load management. It started almost right from the jump. And so the news that was reported is not surprising. Now, Tyronn Lue being hired there, will it change things? I don't know. But to be surprised that star players get special treatment, if you're surprised, you haven't been following professional sports. It's called professional sports for a reason.
Correct. Right.
Yeah. Everybody should know the superstar treatment, like boo-hoo to Patrick Beverly, Montrezl Harrell, and who's the third one? Lou Williams?
Lemon Pepper.
Too sad. I mean, if you would have had LeBron there, he might have traded your ass. Like, that's the way it is. Now, I will say this. I'd be looking at Kawhi super side-eyed all year like, yo, you're Mr. Load Management, but you ain't taking us to the finals either with the way that he was playing in that series. I completely agree with what you said, though, Ken. Like, the three of them really offered nothing either. But you're expecting your star to carry you, so I could see why when you don't have that star carrying you because of load management, you get upset. But at the same time, I mean, you guys said it. That's just the way it is.
I'll say
too bad, so sad.
Kawhi, you need to be staying your ass in Los Angeles. Like, that's a bit much, you being in motherfucking San Diego. Like, you going a bit far with that one, bro. Even if you get times to where, like, let's just say there's real gaps in games, and, I'm saying, you allow him to go down to San Diego, cool. But you residing in San Diego, like, come on now. And I'm sure, it's just maybe – I think he was he was doing the helicopters like Kobe. Didn't that kind of come out?
Yeah, he did a little bit of that.
Yeah, so, dude, you need to be your ass up in – I mean, look, you can stay in Orange County. You ain't got to stay in L.A., but still, you in San Diego? Like, come on now, dude. Like, you doing too much right there. You doing a lot, right? Like, you doing a whole lot, you know what I'm saying? Like, Shotty was like, I want to be home. We thought he was the West Coast. He was like, no. I mean home. Like,
yeah. Move
like,
the team to San Diego.
Right. Back. Wasn't the Clippers in San Diego at first?
I thought it was Anaheim.
Yeah, they were in Buffalo until the early 80s, and then they were in San Diego for 1 year, and then they moved to Los Angeles in the mid-80s.
I thought so.
Yeah, because remember, Bill Walton played for the San Diego Clippers.
Was that one? Was Bill Russell the head coach of that San Diego team?
No, he was the coach of the Sacramento Kings.
You're right. I'm confusing that. You're right.
Yeah.
Right. All right, so let's get to the meat of this show. Ice Cube is defending his decision to advise President Trump on the Platinum Plan, a Trump administration initiative to help Black Americans. Ice Cube, whose real name is O'Shea Jackson, received pushback from after the Trump campaign senior advisor Katrina Pearson revealed that the rapper helped revise the plan. This surprise follows the rapper, who has been vocal critic of Trump, even releasing a song in 2018, Arrest the President, an artist known for his loud critiques of white supremacy and racism, something Mr. Trump has been accused of stoking. Ice Cube was accused of supporting the president's agenda as an election day nears. In a series of tweets, Ice Cube clarified that his meeting with the Trump administration was not an endorsement, but rather an olive branch to discuss the contract with Black America, a series of policies to address racial inequality, including lending and police reform. The rapper noted that he has not endorsed President Trump. This is from Yahoo also. Black progress is a bipartisan issue. When we've created a contract with Black America, we expect to talk to both sides of the aisles. Talking the truth to power is part of the process, he tweeted. I will advise anybody on the planet who has the power to help Black Americans close an enormous wealth gap. The rapper said both Democrats and Republican leaders contacted him about the policy plan. Democrats asked to speak about the initiative after the election, Ice Cube said, while the Trump administration made adjustments to the Platinum Plan after speaking with him. It's unclear what changes were made. I don't trust none of them, Ice Cube said in a video posted to Twitter on Sunday. No president has done right by us, so I don't trust none of them. So putting our hopes and dreams behind any of them just don't work. We make them do what we want to do, and there's only a few ways to do that. That was the end of that article. Listen. If Ice Cube is doing this from a genuine place, I have no problem with him. If it comes from genuinely, this is how he feels and this is what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Even though I do think there should have been discussion with Black America about your plan. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, I would have liked some input or somebody from my region, a representative, to have perhaps, Midwestern issues and Black.
Why was Sidney Brown not contacted about this?
First and foremost, Sidney Brown. So that's one issue. If he's doing this because the Qataris, the government owes him $1 billion, him and his partner for the big three, because that's been one of the rumors, and they put out rumors to paint a black eye on someone. Saying it can't be unjust. But if he's doing this as a cash grab, then I'm really upset. I also would have preferred if he had started this earlier on. You know what I'm saying? Like, this should have been something started last year, where this plan of yours went into action. We got more people on the board. I have no problem with making deals with Republicans. I agree with him when he said it should not be bipartisan. And if Republicans want to bring something to the table, the Democrats aren't, because I still haven't seen Joe Biden talk about what he's going to do for Black America. Like, I'm not talking about minorities. I'm talking about Black America, straight up and down. What's your plan? And I'm not just talking about police reform. I'm talking about economic reform. All right, economic money being infused with Black businesses. That's what I'm talking about. And Democrats take blacks for granted. And that's just the truth to the matter. But the Republicans offer us nothing on top of that. You got a racist guy stoking flames and causing more racism to take place because he's making it seem like it's okay to do it. So he's emboldening these fucking racist twerps. So that I don't like that side of what Cube is doing. Again, I just don't know. You know what I'm saying? I did see Killer Mike on the Breakfast Club this week talking about the Platinum Plan and basically saying, take your emotions out of politics. Just because someone hates you, if they're going to do business with you, you know what I'm saying, get the business done or whatever. Which I can agree with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Republicans were really coming with it for these votes, they can have these votes that they sit there and do what needs to be done in my community. But looking at where we're at right now, and I mean, it's all mission, get Trump out. You know what I'm saying? That's just the truth of the matter. I don't like living in a soap opera 24/7. I'm tired of the soap opera. It's been a long 4 years, to say the least. And the fourth year, will be the fourth year, has been the longest of long, like me and Ryan was talking about earlier before the show, as far as things that happened last month seem like they happened a year ago. I don't know. Like, some of the stuff you keep hearing, but see, I'll tell you this much. I don't know what the truth is. You know what I'm saying? Some of the stuff you hear is that it's a cash grab. But I'll say this. If he's doing this from a genuine place, I don't have a problem with it. I may not agree with the timing of it, but if he's serious about this and there's no shady business going on, I don't have a problem with it. Even though, I don't have to deal with Trump, but we should have a Black representative dealing with him and seeing if there's anything that can be gained with dealing with the president. But still, like I said, to me, I don't like the timing whatsoever. And if he's up to some bullshit and this is really something he's doing for himself, fuck him. Sydney?
I'll wait all week to speak on this. I agree with most of the things that Cube has said. I said most things. You might not like the timing, you might not like his quote-unquote strategy, but he's doing the process correctly. How many times I said on this show, power concedes nothing without demand. Power concedes nothing without demand. Like you mentioned, Ken, the issues going on within the Black of America is nonpartisan. So what Cube did was like, here's what, especially what the LGBTQ community did, and that's how President Obama got in office the second time. They drew up a plan. They answered, if you want our vote, you got to pass our plan. And he did that. We didn't know what happened after that. This is how politics works. Draw up a plan. I'm with you. You should have asked a few more other people to advise, because now I think we all agree, most logical people can agree, that not one person speaks for an entire Black America. We all have different thoughts. We're not monolithic. With that being said, Cube was correct. You draw up a plan and go to the candidates and say, can you execute our plan? If not, screw you. We'll go to somebody else. Now, on the flip side, on the lighter side, I like this attitude of Ice Cube. This is when he left NWA 1990. This is no Vaseline Ice Cube. This is Black Korea Ice Cube. He didn't give a flying fuck what no one said. I think this is coming from a genuine place. Now, maybe the time you can question it on it, and people have that right to their opinion, but I'm going to take Cube at his word. He was coming in genuine. He had this down correct. He's like the late Buddy Ryan, RP Buddy Ryan. I got my 46 defense. I got my horses. I'm coming after you, whether you like it or not. Fuck you. If you riding with me, fine. If you're not against me, get the fuck off my field.
You would say voting for the Republicans is something you down with. I bet you did.
I ain't say all that.
Real quick, on something that you mentioned. Also, who are the intellectuals that helped you with this plan? Like, outside of just reaching out to more around the nation, the Black nation, who are the intellectuals, and did you get a large swath of intellectuals, or is this just your plan? Because it shouldn't just be your plan. But Ryan, what did you think when you?
That's a fair question.
Yeah, I guess I was surprised when I saw the headlines, because I think of Ice Cube as very genuine. So I think he's probably being genuine. That's where I would lean. I wouldn't think he's doing the cash grab, but how you brought it up, Ken, I mean, you can't outrule it. And maybe that is an element to this thing, which would be just horrible to think about in here, because I think Ice Cube, you know, I have him at least respected, and I would lose a lot of respect for him if that was the case. But a lot of good points, too, that both of you make in terms of, I'd like to know more detail of who helped him set it up and how much consulting he did with people. I mean, I guess and I thought you brought up a great point, Sid, you know, you got to kind of be aggressive a little bit in politics. Mm-hmm. You can't just sit there and expect the system to work for you. You got to kind of make it work for yourself. So maybe this isn't a show of aggression towards accomplishing a goal, but you also want to, you know, you don't want to have too many voices, because then that can derail something, but you also want to have a temperature of the room and not just do something, because if it's the wrong type of plan, it can backfire you and be used by your constituents against you. Like, hey, look at this crappy plan. And now moving forward, if we see other plans similar to this in this kind of manner being done, we're not going to take it as seriously.
Yeah, I mean, again, I hope everything's on the up and up. I'll say that much. And we don't always have to agree on everything, especially like if he's trying to do good by his people, I have no problem with it whatsoever. Like, I have no problem with that. If it's, I mean, go ahead, Ryan.
There's got to be more bipartisanship in general, like, period. And definitely you would think with some of these issues like wearing masks, there wouldn't really need to be bipartisanship, but even that. So, you know, not everything should be just painted in, oh, look at this deal, it's terrible for Republicans, that means that's a terrible Republican, or vice versa, that's a terrible deal for Democrats, you're a terrible Democrat. Like, you've got to be able to make compromises in life, period. Correct.
All right, guys, final subject. Coming to America 2, the long tease sequel to Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall's classic 1988 comedy Coming to America will hit Amazon Prime in December. The projected streaming arrival date is December 18th, according to Variety, who said Tuesday that Paramount Pictures is now in the process of selling the comedy to Amazon Studios. Final details of the agreement are still said to be in the middle of being nailed down. This is from Complex. However, at least according to Tuesday's report, the deal could reportedly include tie-ins with McDonald's and Crown Royal. Oh, man. And while securing the coming sequel would be a victory for anyone lucky enough to pull it off, Tuesday report notes that Paramount's sale is arguably inspired by the studio's response to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, which has effectively paused any real chance of theatrical releases per Variety. The deal between Paramount and Amazon is worth an estimated $125 million. They cashed out of that one. I wonder how much that movie cost to make. I'm sure it didn't cost that because I think they filmed it down in Tyler Perry Studios. So I'm sure that movie probably cost maybe $70 million to make or something like. Because I mean, unless they were traveling to Africa itself, which we know they didn't do in the first movie. What's the real costs outside of paying Eddie Murphy? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are the huge costs in that? So I wonder how much that movie it cost to make. And I mean, they're not breaking even. Of course, they would have made more money than $25 million had that been theatrically released. You know what I'm saying? That's probably doing, even if we're just talking about, I mean, you're going to still have white people that grew up back in those days that come to see that. That movie was loved outside of the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
You're probably getting at least $400 million as far as what they was going to make. And I'm saying that.
Dang! Look at you, Mr. Box Office.
I'm just saying that, and I'm only saying that also and I'm saying that if everyone didn't turn out, like, it would be good but not great. I could see it if it did really well. It would probably be like around $600 million. Because I'm talking about a comedy. It's not like a Marvel movie or something like that. But yeah, that's whew, man. The times
I'm taking you with me before I see Universal next time.
the times that we live in to where going to the movies is obsolete. Listen, I'm gonna tell Hollywood right now.
Obsolete.
Y'all can hold on. Y'all can hold on to those films as long as you want, specifically Marvel. You may as well start dropping those babies, man, because we ain't going back. I'm telling you right now. It'll be a cold day in hell before I hit the movie theater in the next 2 years. All right?
I'm so pissed about Dune being pushed back. That's the one I wanted.
Really?
And you're right. It's like, now is it even worth it to go to the theater ever again?
Why? Why, dude? It was all right.
I mean, it's still the experience, but...
Yeah, still. Listen, none of us, I don't think any of us have been ardent moviegoers over the last 5 or 6 years. I go see Star Wars and some Marvel movies. That's it, right? And I go with my family. It's like stuff that we did as a family. That was the only thing we were going to see. And listen, even some of those times I missed that. I didn't go see the last 2, I think, Star Wars movies at the show. Maybe I saw the second one, and I didn't see the third one at the movie theater. But I've missed out on even doing that, and that's before the pandemic hit. So you actually think I'm going to go sit in a room with strangers coughing for 2.5, 3 hours to go watch some shit that sooner or later I can watch on the screen that I pay for?
What if they make the plexiglass penalty box for every seat?
I'm good. And listen, on top of that, there were times I was in the theater with people I didn't want to be with in the first place, as far as these strangers. So now you just give me more incentive to stay the hell away from them. Listen, my screen is nice enough.
What if they give you, one of those fighter jet just attached to your face, and then they give you sanitizer?
Now you're talking. I really would like that. Listen, let me ask you this. All right, so let's run with that real quick, Ryan. So you press those minimum wage employees to clean off that.
Well, no, they'll put a little sanitizer box right next to you, and
I clean it. I clean it off so the jet mask strapped to my face also smells like hand sanitizer. So now I'm a hand.
No, they'll have a fresh thing that makes it better.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying, if you tell me,
maybe it'll be like the toilet seat. They'll give you that thing that goes tissue paper that put a film over them.
Wait, speaking. Let me ask you this. The toilet seats. I used to see them in airports a lot. The toilet seats that it has the plastic all the way around the toilet seat, and basically when you get off, it goes and it takes that plastic away. And I always thought, it's just going around in a circle.
Probably.
You trying to trick me?
Just some heavy bleach is being poured, so if there's any stain, it just doesn't look right.
Right. I'm not a bare asser, Ryan. So no. When I see bare assers, you come into the restroom and you be like, wait, that dude didn't put the little paper thing down.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah, dude. And y'all do that shit a lot.
Who's y'all?
A lot. Like, whoa. It's like, damn.
Wow, I didn't know we were going to get racist.
I'm just saying.
Racist!
Just bare ass.
Us whites poop just fine!
You know when you think you own everything when you just putting your bare ass anywhere.
Oh, man.
You think you own
You're sullying the good name.
Oh shit. And listen, on top of that, I'm not putting this on just white folks. The motherfuckers that come out.
Well, I own that toilet, so I'll just sit on it.
The motherfuckers that come out of the stall and walk straight out the door. It's so disrespectful to all of us that are behind you. Because you like touch my balls when you touch this door, basically. Like those nasty bastards who do. Sydney, how are the facilities inside of UPS?
I can tell you. Not that good.
They've been cleaning them more frequently now since the pandemic.
Oh, they actually clean them now, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They stepped it up.
The jail cell back in the Green Mile? Yeah, something like that is the UPS bathroom.
It's nothing worse than grade school bathrooms. Grade school bathrooms, like stalls didn't work. Some of them, first of all, I may have taken 2 dumps in grade school, if that, right? Like 2, like literally 2, because I was not coming.
Yeah, who the hell was dumping in grade school? Shit, I gotta take a dump.
Some people, because it'll still be in the damn toilet, right? It was like, damn, right? The urinals halfway work. One urinal would be overflowing. What the hell was that?
You got a ghost?
Oh. Taking a dump.
It was like a buzzing. It was like a buzzing noise that I just heard. Anyway, it sounded like the wind blowing, but it was a buzzing noise. But yeah, grade school. And I went to Kenton's. I went to use the bathroom one day picking Kenton up, and the shit hasn't changed, right? It's just like, damn, these grade school bathrooms still effing suck. Right, like
they'd always overflow. There'd always be the.
It's always the overflow. It's always.
I'm gonna use 3 pounds of toilet paper.
Right. That would be like. Who. Listen, I'm gonna tell you one thing too. I cannot stand somebody who intentionally tries to make toilets overflow. And I've seen grown people do this shit. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Intentionally?
Yeah. It's like, why you have all that damn? You don't know how to wipe your ass. You grown as hell. You still don't know how.
Yeah.
And you can.
It's like a pound of toilet paper stuffed into the toilet. Yep.
Right. Like, what are you doing? Like, stop. Mm-hmm. Right. Like, just. And that's my my rant on toilet etiquette and how things should necessarily go.
So, when did we start? Coming to America too? We ended with shit? Okay.
We've definitely ended with shit.
What does that say about that movie? Early reviews.
I think it'll be good. You know what makes me think
it depends how much hoke is put in there.
When I thought like him doing Dolomite, I was kind of like, come on, Eddie. Like, you gonna do that first too? I was like, that I don't know about that. But watching it, really, listen, it helped change my mind on Dolomite himself. And I kind of had known some of that stuff, that it was, it was just a character and all that. But to get that backstory and see, what he was doing, and for him to put Dolomite up on the plateau that he should be placed upon, that made me feel better about Coming to America. Because I was like, Dolomite was pretty good. You know what I'm saying? For being a comedy, it was pretty good. Because I'm not the biggest black exploitation fan. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen a few of them. I love the Mac, but I didn't see the Mac until I was like 18 years old. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still not the hugest black I just thought that was kind of crazy, being a kid. Like, black exploitation films, and that's the thing, right? Like, it just doesn't sound right? But I get that, you know what I'm saying, there was only so many lanes that we could have or whatever back in those days. So that's why those movies were necessarily made. But yeah, I think Come to America is going to be good, because he made me feel better after watching Dolomite. I could be wrong though, but I think it'd be pretty. I'd
want to see who the writer and directors are. I didn't look into that, because
the director is Craig Brewer, who recently worked with Eddie Murphy on Dolomite. Is my name.
Okay, that's good.
And he also, I believe he worked on The Empire or something like that too. He worked on Empire
because, sometimes when they try to do, I'm thinking of Top Gun 2. I feel like that movie is just destined to be bad. because it's just like they're going to harp on so many of the things in Top Gun 1 that's just going to be like, oh, look, they made Top Gun 1 30 years
holding
later.
on to these old grudges 40 years later.
Like, we want to see those characters from Coming to America, but they've got to, like, be a little bit different, a little aged, a little weathered. They got to progress, and you need enough freshness in that story. It can't be, like, too much of a retread of things that really worked back in the first one, because that's when those movies stink. It's just like, oh, let's get the laugh track out.
Totally. I totally agree with you. So hopefully it'll be good. Sydney, what do you think is going to be what would you think the Coming to America is going to be, good or bad, or what?
I'm kind of indifferent on that. Hopefully it'll be as good as the first one, but classic movies like Ryan just said, like Coming to America, they're so hard to live up to expectations because the bar is so high. And like you mentioned earlier, Ken, it was loved by everyone, not just people that look like us. It was embraced by everybody else. So it's kind of, like Ryan said, you had to incorporate some new things that's happening in today's society, but trying to keep the originality as well. It's really so hard to do. Look at, I'll give a quick example, like House Party. There was 3-4 movies after that. House Party 2, I kind of liked it, but it wasn't like the original. The original is the standard, and it started going downhill ever since. So it's kind of hard to live up to the original film.
Don't put Coming to America House Party. Even listen. At one point, House Party
was just funny. Because Sydney's anti-immigration.
Correct. Listen, I had to be 11 maybe when House Party came out, and we and my buddy, some girls who bought our ticket. We was at the Evergreen Plaza when the movie theater was there, and they wouldn't let us buy the ticket. And we had the movie that when we first got there, we had to wait 2 hours because it was sold out, right? So we had walked around the mall with these girls. They bought us our ticket. We hung out with them the whole day. They were older than us or whatever. And we went to see it. And at that point, that was the funniest movie I had seen in my effing life. Like, it was hilarious. So I'm not discounting how good it was, but Coming to America is on a different scope because, like, it hit me. I didn't think about it. My grandmother took me and my brother, and I think some of our friends, to see Coming to America. She didn't even sit with us, but clearly she wanted to see it. That's why she took us to go see it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I'm dropping you. Oh, she went to go see it herself. So, like, as we were saying, like, it went through not just different races, but different age groups as far as people wanting to come out and check out that movie. So definitely it was historic. But it's always kind of funny how, and it's not on the same level. This wasn't as good. Like, white people love Coming to America, but they feel like Harlem Nights was a flop. And we love Harlem Nights in the Hood. Like, that, like, it was like, that
is a classic film, yeah.
We love it. But they were like, nah, that's what it was like, nah, it's not that's not how we feel about that. But yeah, I still think, like I said, from Dolomite, I feel like after seeing him pull that off, that this was going to be good. But look, we definitely appreciate you for joining us and spending a bit of your time with us. We're definitely going to come back with That Davis Show, bring you some sports topics, get some more stuff in about the Sox. Definitely going to bring you some football stuff and also some social justice stuff. We always like to do that as we're entering this election cycle. Definitely going to bring on some guests to talk about election coming up and just try to provide you with some information and to help you along the way. Hopefully you find it helpful. You can always find Sydney on Safe City Sports and also Real Read the Radio. And Ryan's always holding down the fort here on everything that we do and keeping us sharp. So we definitely appreciate it. Keep yourself safe. Wear your masks, as Christie now believes you should do. And, treat people the way that you would want to be treated. Sydney?
We go.
The Flip.